The Young and the Restless spoilers. Matt's disappearance sends Phyllis into a frenzy, blames Newmans. The Young and the Restless YNR spoilers reveal that Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, will fear the worst when she apparently can't get in touch with Matt Clark, Roger Howarth. Matt's vanishing act will leave Phyllis on edge, so she's going to make some bold moves as a result. YNR fans know Phyllis has found a special spark with Matt, who sees the real her and isn't scared off. Matt accepts Phyllis in a way that she's perhaps been craving for a long time. Likewise, Phyllis doesn't judge Matt for his past or see a monster when she looks at him. That's a big deal for Matt, since there are so many other naysayers around Genoa City who can't forgive his awful history. Matt has resolved to stick around GC and try to prove he's transformed into a positive person. Whether Matt ever gets the forgiveness he's hoping for from Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, and Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, or not, he wants to try. Matt also wants to remain in town because of his romantic connection to Phyllis and the new position he's tackling at Arabesque. That's why Phyllis won't believe Matt is staying away on his own when he goes missing. The preview video for the week of August 24th to 28th shows Phyllis in a frenzy as she comes blowing in the GCAC. Phyllis marches over to Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, who's at the bar along with Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn. The clip shows Phyllis grilling Adam about where Matt is since she assumes the Newmans are behind his disappearance. Adam doesn't look like he has a clue what Phyllis is talking about and may tell her that soon enough. Of course, it's possible Victor Newman, Eric Braden, has retaliated over all Matt's rule-breaking. It wouldn't be the first time Victor went after Matt and held him captive, so that's worth keeping in mind. That said, Victor has been busy lately and may not be tied to Matt's vanishing act at all. There may be another reason Matt disappeared on Phyllis, like if he needed time to recharge alone or has been working on a secret deal related to his new job. Whatever the case, the Young and the Restless spoilers say Phyllis will be on a quest for news on Matt's whereabouts, so stay tuned. Genoa City may be heading toward another explosive confrontation, and this time Phyllis Summers could find herself caught in the middle of a dangerous mystery involving Matt Clark and the Newman family. Recent The Young and the Restless storylines have firmly placed Matt at the center of Phyllis's world. CBS has already shown Phyllis helping Matt begin a new chapter, while later episodes have teased the two growing closer and Phyllis keeping a close eye on him. Now, if Matt suddenly disappears, Phyllis may have every reason to believe that someone has interfered. And naturally, her first suspects could be the Newmans. Phyllis immediately fears the worst. Phyllis has never been the type to sit quietly and wait for answers. When something goes wrong, she investigates, pushes buttons, and confronts anyone she believes may be responsible. That is exactly why Matt's disappearance could send her into a frenzy. If Phyllis reaches out to Matt and receives nothing but silence, she may initially convince herself that he has simply gone off the grid. Matt has certainly demonstrated that he can be unpredictable, but the longer he remains unreachable, the more suspicious Phyllis could become. There is also a major emotional complication. Phyllis has invested herself in Matt's future. What began as a complicated arrangement has developed into something much more personal, and she may no longer be willing to treat him as merely another pawn in a Genoa City power struggle. That could make his disappearance especially frightening for her. The Newmans become convenient targets. Victor Newman has never been shy about protecting his family, even when his methods cross dangerous lines. Nick Newman and the rest of the family have also had plenty of reasons to keep Matt at a distance. So when Matt vanishes, Phyllis may immediately connect the dots. She could decide that the Newmans have finally made their move. Her suspicion would not necessarily mean she has proof. In fact, the lack of evidence could make the situation even more explosive. Phyllis might begin confronting Nick, demanding answers and refusing to believe his denials. And if Victor refuses to explain himself, that could make Phyllis even more convinced that she is right. A woman like Phyllis does not need certainty to start a war. She only needs to find himself trapped between Phyllis and Victor. Nick may be in an especially difficult position. He has already been caught between his loyalty to Victor and his complicated dealings with Phyllis. Earlier in the year, Nick even defied Victor while attempting to negotiate with Phyllis as Matt disappeared from the picture. That history could come back to haunt him. If Phyllis accuses the Newmans of taking Matt, Nick may genuinely have no idea where Matt is, but Phyllis may not believe him. The more Nick insists that his family had nothing to do with it, the more questions she could ask. And if Nick knows even a small piece of information that he isn't sharing, Phyllis will likely notice. That could turn an already tense relationship into an outright confrontation. Is Matt really missing, or is he running? There is another possibility that Phyllis may not consider immediately. Matt could have disappeared by choice. Matt has repeatedly proven that he can survive by staying one step ahead of everyone around him. His complicated history with the Newmans makes him particularly difficult to predict. Perhaps he knows someone is watching him. Perhaps he has discovered that Phyllis's plans could put him in danger. Or perhaps Matt has a secret plan of his own. That possibility would create a fascinating twist. Phyllis could spend days blaming Victor and the Newmans, only to discover that Matt deliberately disappeared because he was preparing his next move. And if that happens, Phyllis is unlikely to forgive him easily. Phyllis could go rogue. The most dangerous version of Phyllis is the one who believes she has been betrayed. If she becomes convinced that the Newmans are responsible for Matt's disappearance, she could start digging into their secrets. She may approach Nick first, then Victor, then anyone else who might know what happened. But Phyllis may not stop with questions. She could launch her own investigation, using every connection and every piece of information available to her. Her determination could put her directly in the path of people who would rather keep Matt's whereabouts hidden. That creates the perfect setup for a classic soap opera mystery. Phyllis chasing answers while unknowingly getting closer to a secret that someone is desperate to protect. Victor may have his own explanation. Of course, Victor Newman is rarely caught completely off guard. If Phyllis comes storming into his territory demanding to know where Matt is, Victor may simply refuse to play along. That could infuriate her. Victor may insist that Matt's disappearance has nothing to do with the Newman family. But if he knows more than he admits, his silence could become its own form of evidence in Phyllis's mind. The mustache has spent decades mastering the art of keeping secrets. Unfortunately for him, Phyllis Summers has spent just as long learning how to uncover them. A showdown between the two could be explosive. Matt and Phyllis could be heading toward a bigger secret. There is also the possibility that Matt's disappearance isn't simply another Newman versus Phyllis battle. It could be the beginning of a much larger storyline. Matt has already been woven into several major plots involving the Newmans, Nick, and Phyllis. CBS episode listings show that his story has continued through the summer, including a July episode in which Phyllis and Matt toast to their future. That makes a sudden disappearance particularly intriguing. If Phyllis believes she and Matt were building a future together, his vanishing act could feel like a personal betrayal. But if someone else forced him to disappear, she could become determined to rescue him. Either way, the emotional stakes are rising. Will Phyllis discover the truth? The biggest question is whether Phyllis will uncover what really happened before she makes an irreversible mistake. If the Newmans are innocent, her accusations could push Nick and Victor into fighting back. If they are hiding something, Phyllis could expose a secret that changes several relationships. And if Matt disappeared willingly, Phyllis may eventually have to face the possibility that she never understood his true intentions. That uncertainty is exactly what makes this storyline so dangerous. Phyllis is convinced that she knows how to read people. Matt may be about to prove her wrong. One thing is certain. If Matt disappears, Genoa City will not stay quiet for long. Phyllis will demand answers, the Newmans will be forced onto the defensive, and whatever secret lies behind Matt's disappearance could ignite another major battle. And knowing Phyllis, she won't stop until she gets the truth, even if finding it puts her directly in the line of fire.